So if you're using QuickBooks Online to manage your products, you probably know it can feel like a real beast sometimes. But what if you could actually tame it? Well, in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how to master your inventory, turning all that stockroom stress into streamlined success.
Does this look a little too familiar? You're not quite sure what you have, you definitely don't know when to reorder, and your financial reports, well, they feel like a wild guess. It's a super common problem, but it's one we are about to solve right now. Because with just a few key skills inside QuickBooks, you can get that crystal clear picture of your entire product world. So let's start with, the most important question of all.
Right, first things first. Why even bother with all this setup? I mean, it's not just about counting boxes, it's about making your business way smarter and, yeah, a lot more profitable.
The payoff here is huge. When you track your inventory the right way, you get control. You know your stock levels in real time, you get automatic reminders when it's time to order more, and you never, ever have to tell a customer, sorry, we're out. That's the power we're unlocking today.
Everything, and I mean everything, starts with one item. If you can confidently add a single product, you can manage 1,000 of them. This is truly the most important skill to get right.
What's so great about this slide is how it simplifies what can be a really busy screen. Forget all those different fields for just a second, and just think in these 3 buckets. First, what is it? That's its name and its SKU. Easy. Second, how do you sell it? That's your sales price and the income accounts it points to. And third, how do you buy it? Well, that's its cost and where that expense gets tracked, your cost of goods sold account. Seriously, get these 3 things right and you've pretty much mastered the foundation.
And then there's this field. This is the one. This one trips up so many people and can create some pretty serious accounting headaches if you get it wrong.
So here's the deal, and this is absolutely crucial. If you've already been using QuickBooks for a while, you need to leave this at 0. Always, and I mean always. You should be adding your new inventory through things like purchase orders or bills. The only time you'd ever put a number here is if you are brand new to QuickBooks and you're setting up your books for the very first time.
So why is that 0 rule so important? Well, because if you do put in an initial quantity, QuickBooks has to balance its books somehow. And it does this by creating this kind of phantom entry in an account called opening balance equity. Think of it as just a temporary placeholder. But if you start seeing a bunch of transactions piling up there when you don't expect it, that's a huge red flag that your inventory might have been set up wrong from the start.
Okay, so you've mastered adding one product. That's awesome. But what happens when you have dozens or even hundreds? Well, that's when categories become your absolute best friend. This is all about working smarter, not harder.
And wow, this slide just shows you the difference, right? On the left, you've got this messy, flat list that's just hard to scan. But on the right, a clean, organized system. Instead of hockey stick leafs, you have a main category for hockey sticks, and then the different teams are nested right underneath. It's instantly so much easier to read and to manage.
And this isn't just about making things look pretty on the screen. This simple organization means you can create invoices with way fewer mistakes because you're pulling from these logical groups. And maybe best of all, you can now run sales reports by category. You want to know if jerseys are outselling hockey sticks? Now you can find out with a single click.
Okay, so setting up items one by one is great for learning the ropes, but it's not very efficient if you have a big catalog. So now it's time for the power move, importing everything from a spreadsheet.
So you might be asking, when should I switch from doing it manually to doing this power move? Well, here is a fantastic rule of thumb. If you're adding more than about 20 items at once, it's time to use the import tool. It's really the difference between a few minutes of work versus, hours of tedious clicking.
Look, that import spreadsheet can seem a little intimidating at first, I get it. But it really just boils down to these 3 checkboxes. Does QuickBooks need to track the quantity? Check that first box. Do you sell it to your customers? Check the second one. Do you buy it from your suppliers? Check the third. Get these 3 columns right, and you are honestly 90% of the way there.
And hey, here's another awesome pro tip for that import tool. It's not just for adding new products. Let's say you need to update the sales prices for your entire catalog. You can do it all at once by just re-importing that spreadsheet with the new prices. What a huge time saver.
All right, we have covered all the how-tos, but now we need to talk about the how-not-tos. These are the common mistakes that can cause major issues in your books if you're not careful. So please pay close attention to this section.
First up, and this one surprises pretty much everyone, once you create an inventory item, it's in your system for good. You can make it inactive, sure, but you can never truly delete it. So you really want to double-check your work before you click that Save button.
Now this next one is even more serious. Let's say you have, 10 units of a product in stock. If you make that item inactive, QuickBooks doesn't just hide it. Nope. It assumes those 10 units just, poof, vanished. It zeroes out the quantity and the value, and then it posts that loss to an account called inventory shrinkage. You could literally be wiping thousands of dollars off your balance sheet with a single click if you're not careful.
And this is probably the most dangerous pitfall of them all. If you go in and edit an inventory item and change the income account or the cost of goods sold account it's linked to, QuickBooks goes back in time and changes every single historical transaction for that item. It does this automatically, it doesn't ask you, and this is the most frightening part, it does it without leaving a single trace in the audit log. You have to be extremely careful when you're editing these accounts.
But look, just by understanding not only how to set things up, but more importantly, what not to do, you have seriously leveled up. You've leapfrogged the most common frustrations. You now have the full toolkit to move from that chaos of a messy stockroom to the absolute clarity of having perfect data.
And that really brings us to the best part, the most exciting part. This isn't just about clean bookkeeping. See, accurate inventory data is like a treasure map for your business. So the real question now is, what are you going to discover? Which products are your unsung heroes? Which ones are just collecting dust? The answers, they're waiting for you, right there in the data.